Hello and welcome to Saturday Chat with me, Big Scott 35. A little under the weather, but not feeling as bad as a lot of my friends at work. But sleeping and taking medicine, trying to stay in front of this crap. But just kind of staying in on this still a little chilly Saturday here in the South. Went to Salem. I'm ready for that weather to break. I think the Mets are actually playing today. We'll try to watch a little bit of that spring training. Uh, I just I'm not a huge spring training. I like to read on like what players are doing. My biggest thing is to see who's getting hurt. I know Cody Yasinga is feeling really good about his shoulder, so that's a huge plus. If we can have him for the whole season, and they're talking about a 6-man rotation. So the only thing that I worry about the 6-man, and I know this, talk baseball, this is on a Monday. I don't think we're going to have a Monday chat again. My dad's computer is in for a checkup. If you go to a 6-man, that shortens your bullpen. And I just feel like your guys have to go at least 6 innings on average, if not into the 7th, to really make that work. That's my only feeling about that. Getting them in the 4th and 5th and throwing a long bullpen game really will tear up your bullpen fast. That's the only problem I have with the 6-man. So, cards this week. I did show a few cards on Wednesday. Again, thank you to Carlisle thinking of me, sending me the Tom Seaver, and also the Gary Carter. Awesome. The Seaver will be going with my Mets collection. The Carter will be going to represent that from the community into my community box. Which, sad to say, I got mixed up with my regular collection when I moved 3 years ago. So that was a little upsetting to me. But yeah, and again, not a crazy week. I have won some super cheap cards this week. Right now, today, I have another Gary Carter for the registry that I'm hoping to get cheap. His cards in high grade have really skyrocketed. I don't know what happened. I'm glad the ones that I already have. I was looking to kind of upgrade, and I was like, I am not going to do that until I get more of some of the other ones that I need if they're out there. Because like I showed you, the credit card, that's kind of where I'm at for stuff I need, in the graded sense. Some Score, Upper Deck, a lot of the Don Ross and Fleer I have, maybe the later years of him in the Donruss. And when they start the newer stuff, I don't have a lot of that, like stuff that's out of his playing years. I pretty much nailed his playing years, even like food and beverage. There might be some oddball stuff out there that I'm looking for graded. I already have it ungraded. I'm just not going to pay the PSA price for $2 cards to get graded. It just doesn't make sense. I wouldn't pay, I might do CSG or CGC, excuse me, Eric, if you watch this. I just, for that, if I want to get something just to put in a holder, I will, and that's it. And so that's about it for this week. Me and my dad, like I said, I haven't been feeling good. I've been working a lot, and I was working. I worked 11 hours on Sunday when I usually do the recording. And then Monday, I was exhausted and went to bed early. Tuesday again. I guess I had the bug or whatever. I pretty much slept 36 out of 48 hours, if not more, next few days. And then I started at least getting up and running around. But, I just tired and I don't want it to beat me. So left work early Friday, and here we are. That's enough of my sickness. Now to cards. Greg again, and I'm going to start watching him. Had some. I'll get to it in a minute. But this week's question. I got it right. Let's go with this. It's easy to get. One, I'm letting this represent a bunch, and I know this is the answer that he's going to probably think he's going to get. This is my Sandy Koufax rookie one. I have Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Jackie. I have cards that are from my dad's collection, and none of them I'll ever sell. I would be the homeless man walking around with that box. And if I got to go into any more detail than that, I mean, I found them at my grandparents' house. He thought they were thrown away. Long story short, they were my dad's collection, and they're not going anywhere. So there you have it with that question. And I think that's probably going to be the standard answer, something along those lines. I mean, I've talked about why I collect. Me and my dad, that's how I got to learn baseball as a backup cards in the 70s, watching games with him. And when I started playing, imitating the players, that's what you do. And I want to talk a little bit more about that too. I brought that up to my friends. But I watched Greg this week, and I saw some of the answers. And then I had one, which I meant to do this before I got started. Let's see here. I want to pull up my last week's video because I just want to clear up some things. I know Sunday night I said I was done, and Eric called me out and said, "No, you're not," and "No, I'm not." It's just, this is I think it's a very one-sided thing. Because the more I thought about it, I just don't hear anybody even mentioning this other than people that collect straight up vintage. And it's I'm sure there's people out there that say why you collect vintage, but I don't think it's a hate. I think it's more of you're collecting dead guys type of thing. Guys, like I said, it's hard to have a connection with somebody I never watched, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And let's see if I can get to it. It's like my first day. And because I just want to get names right. I mean, because it was brought to my attention that I was saying Greg's name wrong. And I think that is very piss poor of me, very disrespectful of me. And I do apologize. I did not know I was doing it. And from now on, I will make sure I do it right, because if I did it normally, that's very disrespectful. But now I do know, and I feel bad that I did, because everybody, that's who you are, right? But Southern Collector 14, who I've never, to be honest, never heard of before he made this comment, and I appreciate the comment. It was probably it was the only one that was like taken up for Greg, but it was no reason to take up for Greg, because I just want to put this out there to everyone. If you misunderstood and Southern Collector 14 it was a surrogate for you, and you agreed with what he said on there, I was not trying to put Greg's channel down in any way. I was congratulating him for 6,000 6,000 subs, because that's kind of like a benchmark. 1,000 is a benchmark, but when you get to 6,000, that means you're doing something right. People like your channel, and they keep coming back. And I was sincere about that. I don't know where I can be an asshole and very smart assy, but that was very. I don't know Greg to be a smart ass to him, so there you have it. I have seen him on other channels, but now I started watching some of his channels. I watched the last two. I didn't watch the Saturday where he was talking about cards that didn't have value. I don't never talk about value. I mean, I've been listing cards today to sell. I do sell. Do I want we talked about this at nauseum, that of course we don't want our cards to lose value, but to be honest, you buy cards, most of them are going to lose value. And then you're not. You want to have some type of, boom, but I don't buy cards for those reasons. I buy cards because that's the players I want to collect. I like the card and all of that. And I was talking about sorry, my TV. I was playing video games and it timed out and went over to the TV and started playing a TV show. I started as a kid, and I miss a lot of the stories of why people collect as kids. And also like the sports. A lot of people were talking about watching the games. No, you definitely do not have to watch the games to collect cards, but to speak on players and how they play and who they, what they do. I think you need to have some type of knowledge of what that brings. And I think watching and keeping up with it with some type of, regularity. And the two videos I watched, I know those two people don't watch the games, but they keep up with the sport with some regularity. If it's reading, watching highlights, seeing what's going on. They don't just buy cards willy-nilly. And they definitely never said they hate the sport that they're collecting on a modern level. So I just wanted to touch on that. And, I grew up imitating the players I watched on TV. I said it before. Me and my friends would watch the baseball bunch in the summer and go outside and redo the whatever practice drills they were doing. If you don't know that show was late 70s, early 80s with Johnny Bench. It might have been just 80s. That's where I fell in love with Gary Carter. Didn't realize, there was teams in another country. And when he went to the Mets, that's where I fell in love with the Mets. Keith Hernandez, when I played first, I imitated him. His thing was This Week in Baseball, which came on right before Baseball Bunch. And hopefully, if you're a baseball fan and you're around my age, you know what Twib is. It still comes on. They use I think an AI generated voice, but anyway, I saw Keith and how aggressive he was on bunts. And man, I was 12 years old. I was like 5'9", 5'10", pretty big boy at the time. And I would come charging him either first or third. If you squared, there was a big boy coming down the line. And a lot of times players would take their eyes off of what they were bunting or whatever to look at me. And I learned that from Keith, especially if I was a guy on third. And I used that even when I got older, even when I coached teams for the third baseman to follow the player on third down. And backing up behind the first base, or when first baseman threw back to the pitcher after a pickoff, all that stuff. I learned from the baseball bunch and This Week in Baseball. Um, you know, and reading how-to books and little manuals and all that was as a kid. If there was one in the library, I always picked it up and read through it. But that's where I found my love for the game and the players in that game. And I just wanted to reiterate that, and but that's how I also learned about older players too, is like, oh, well, they're breaking some streak, or it was, they showed some older player throwing out the first pitch or something, and I wanted to learn about them. I have a couple of baseball encyclopedias or whatever they're called from the 80s and 90s. I collect them to this day. When I find them, I always pick one up from whatever year. I can usually find them at a Goodwill or something for $1, and they're the big binders. I had a guy try to go find out if that was the right price because of the size of the book, and they said, "Yep, it's a book." So at a secondhand store. So those types of things, along with looking through a Beckon and seeing what arrows and names that were in bold or FC, and we don't talk about the SC moniker, the first card moniker, much. I just remember seeing that and what is this, and finding out what that was. That was kind of a big deal to me at an early age, and that's how I learned about the older players. And of course, my dad watched, and if you watch any of our Mondays, my dad would listen to the radio, him and his mom. His mom was a huge baseball fan. My Granny Joe, my grandma. I was lucky to have both sides of my family as big baseball fans. And when I was young, her and my granddad would sit there and I'd watch old reruns of Home Run Derby, and that he would talk about. He loved the Yankees, and I had to listen about the Yankees, but I loved it because he was talking baseball, firsthand knowledge. And a lot of this was radio listening. They didn't have a TV till later in the 50s. I think my dad said like 53 or something like that. So they didn't have a lot of money, and and even then they might get one game of the week or whatever, kind of like what I grew up with, one game of the week until I got WBCA out of Maryland. And and I'm rambling a little bit, but I just want to show you or talk to you about my love for this sports. Baseball started for me, but I do like football. I bought some football cards, singles this week. Hockey. I used to be there was nobody bigger college basketball fan, and I just don't like the sport anymore. I'll still pay attention to it during March Madness, but I used to I was huge. I would stay home, stay up late at night, go to school late because I was watching games. Late 80s college basketball, 90s college basketball. I don't know if there was a better era in college basketball. But yeah, even I had a NASCAR phase. I get on the things, and I don't only, and y'all know, I collect other stuff. I play video games. I collect Star Wars, Batman. But I just wanted to touch on where I'm coming from, and I collect all kinds of stuff and I'm just not on one thing, right? And I think, and I've said it before, 90% of the hobby is like this, probably way more than that. And Southern Collector 14, the reason I brought him up is because I've watched some of his videos. He tells a great story. He's passionate about, looks like his Yankees. I don't want to be too vocal about it. He might like somebody else. I don't know. And he's a vintage guy. He would probably declare himself a vintage guy. I don't do that. If he wants to do it, he can. But he's new. He's only 12, 14 videos. Um, yeah, so I sub to him to support. And, I mean, he's got more subs than I do. So again, he's doing something better than I am. So congratulations to him on that, and welcome you to the community. And, which I'm not the welcome person. I mean, just on our part, my little group of people that watch my channel, and and Greg reached out to me, and I hope he didn't feel like it was an attack. It wasn't an attack. I knew I wanted to make a video because, like John, Wade Boggs fan, I'm long-winded, and I didn't want to type it all out, and I could take tangents. I don't put any. It's all off the top of my head, and so if I did come across, I'll shoot off on another topic without finishing one. And I apologize if I did come across negative or what was the word? Disparage his channel. I didn't mean to do that, and by no means am I jealous. And I've been doing this 5, 6, going I think 6 years now. I would have just quit by now if that was the case, because I wouldn't be able to stand it with channels that do have that much, and you're trying to figure out why. But with that being said, Greg did reach out. He would like to chat with me, which is great. I would always like to have another number in my Rolodex. He says he thinks we have a lot in common. Let people that watch Beaufort, if there's anybody that watches Beaufort channels, be the judge of that. I know I've made friends and talked with other guys that I know that I've seen him on his channels. That's the only way I know of him, is seeing him on some other channels. And but now I've been watching some of his, and I just don't have all the time in the world. And I think a lot of people have cut down on my YouTube sports card viewing quite a bit. There is a group that comes across, but if I see something that comes across my page, because I do watch some baseball, so I get baseball card stuff a lot, come across my page as amongst other things, I will watch it. And I didn't go out to see that video. I saw John, Wade Boggs fan, do a video on it. I thought it was interesting how he went about it, but I was wondering, why are we even talking about this? Because I just don't see it. And if it is, it's kind of, I'm going to put it out there, it's kind of one-sided. I just don't go to modern channels and hear that type of talk about why not buying vintage. I don't think I've ever had, but I'm sure there is out there. I'm sure somebody's doing it. And so I went to the source, watched that, and when I saw Ravelry and I heard the word Ravelry, that takes on a whole new thing. That's a whole different monster. That means there's fighting in the stands. There's pure hatred between the groups. We have enough of that in this country right now. This is supposed to be my outlet, and I just don't want that to be something that happens. And like I said before, I enjoy watching all types of different channels. I cannot collect everything, so I get to watch what other people collect that's different from mine and go, wow, that's cool. I don't know how many shows I go to and I see my friends there and I want to see what they picked up because they collect differently than I do. And I'm like, damn, that's cool stuff. But I'm there looking for my stuff. But if it's something I really, really like, guess what? I'll go buy it. Or I'll buy something similar on a player I do like. I've done that. I mean, we've all done that. We all get inspired by other people, other channels. And that's the greatness of it. Again, I got inspired by the Hall of Fame and opened up my eyes a little bit. Uh, I love history. History is what I went to school for. Um, so the history of the game is not lost on me, but I'm more of reading books than I am collecting the cards for the history, or watching DVDs or something like that for the history of it. And I rather collect, like I said, my collection is an extension of my fandom of players in the sport. So that's where I come from. And I hope this might, I don't know, some things I might say might trigger some people again, but I am who I am. I'm going to speak my opinion, and this is my opinion alone. That's why I do these Saturdays, because I don't want to get it confused with anybody that might be on my channel on Sunday nights. And I don't want to come across as triggering anybody. If I want to do anything, it's just pointing out something I've seen. And if it starts a discussion and not finger pointing or coming at somebody personally, I'm not for that. My friends call me Love and Peace, Emo Scott, all of that stuff. I just try to. I knew when I started reading, and I was surprised how many people were neutral or kind of leaning towards, there's no rivalry. I have yet to go to a card show and see any rivalry going on. I think it's a YouTube thing. I do think it helps. I know I'll get a lot of views on this. I got a shit ton last Saturday. And, and that part of it is a little saddening because we talk about show cards. Well, I show cards and get 40 views, but talk about this, and then everybody wants to have an opinion and this, that, and the other. So, so tomorrow night I will have at least one guest has said. Hopefully I'll have a couple of more, because I like to have a roundtable discussion on a question that one of the guys just blew by, but it's always something I bring up or gets asked to me by people outside of the hobby. And we will bring it up. Please show up tomorrow night with, just like you always do, positivity, making fun of me, making fun of my guests, making fun of each other, but in a loving way. And, let's have a chat. Until then, share, leave a comment on how you feel. Anyway, just, let me know. And like last week, I told Southern Collector 14, thank you for making me think about what I said. It really did. That's what brought on this. I felt like I needed to put it out there that I don't have anything personal against anybody. And I think Greg is doing he don't need me telling him, but I think he's doing a great job. And I think Southern Collector 14 has a great future. I hope he stays on, keeps making. I wish more and more people make videos for many different reasons. And until next time, see ya.